Morning, Tri-Cities. It's 9 o'clock on Friday, so it's time for Coffee with Karl. Today we got a really special, I don't even know what you call these things, episode or webinar or Zoom call, whatever you want to call it. Today is actually the end of Economic Development Week as recognized by IEDC, which is, Stephen, help me out with IEDC.
International Economic Development Council.
I knew Stephen would be the go-to. I know Diane knew it too. I know Mandy's working on her certification as well, but International Economic Development Council has proclaimed this week Economic Development Week. So we're really pleased to have all of our economic development partners on today from the Tri-Cities. And so I'll go around the room and introduce everybody in a minute. First of all, I wanted to give a shout out to Mike Miller and Mid Security. Mike and his crew do a great job for business and personal security. Located in downtown Pasco, they do a great job, and they are our sponsor at Coffee with Karl. Mike's on our board at TriNet, does a great job. So I wanted to give a shout out to Mike for thanks for helping us out. Great guy, great company. And also in a future episode, or like I said, whatever we're calling these things, we are going to have on Prosser Economic Development, City of Benton City, and the City of Connell. So wanted to kind of break it up a little bit. This is a big group today. We're going to take an hour and a half. It's going to be a great conversation, but wanted to make sure everybody knew that we were going to hit on our other municipalities in a future episode. So going around the room in no particular order, Rohanna Carmichael is the Economic Development Manager for City of Kennewick. Good morning, Rohanna.
Good morning, Karl.
Adam Lincoln is the brand new city manager for City of Pasco. Adam, thanks for joining us this morning.
Thanks, Karl. Happy to be here.
Mandy Wallner is the Economic Development Manager for City of Richland. Good morning, Mandy.
Morning, Karl. Thanks for having me.
You bet. Cool plants in the background. Eric Mendenhall is the Community Development Director for City of West Richland. Good morning, Eric.
Good morning, Karl. Thanks for having me on today.
You bet. Thanks for joining us. Amber is the Director of Operations and Real Estate for the Port of Kennewick. Good morning, Amber. First time on Coffee with Karl. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Yes, thank you for the invitation. Good morning, everybody.
You bet. And even if you don't drink coffee, you can still be on Coffee with Karl. So we're glad to have you. Stephen McFadden is the Director of Economic Development for Port of Pasco. Good morning, Stephen.
Good morning, Karl. Thank you for having me and for hosting this great discussion.
You bet. Thank you for reminding me what IEDC stood for. Last but not least, and she will be our cleanup hitter today, even in the presentation, Diane Howard is the Executive Director of Port of Benton. Good morning, Diane.
Good morning, Karl. Good morning, everybody, and happy Mother's Day weekend.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you mentioned that because now we're going to talk about our coffee cups or coffee stories. So I'll kick us off. I've got this coffee cup, which my wife didn't give me, but I do want to talk about Mother's Day. I got it, and it makes me think of my wife, Tiffany. For Mother's Day is also our anniversary. So Sunday is our 18th wedding anniversary. And so she picked out, we're going to go to the Dust Devils game. They've got a special Mother's Day event. So we're going to look forward to a nice 90-degree day at the Dust Devils Stadium and going to have a great day. So that's my coffee mug or story. Let's go to Rohanna next. Do you have a coffee mug or coffee story for us?
Well, this morning I have this little coffee cup. I made it with my daughter. She's really into this. So a lot of Cricut work. Cool. And I stopped at Rockabilly this morning, grabbed my favorite coffee, but I put it in my own cup.
That's awesome. That's really cool. Adam, how about you? First time on Coffee with Karl. What do you got for a mug or coffee story for us?
You know, today going with the Yeti, the one that transports in the car real well. So
yeah.
Get brake checked on 182 just in case you're but it's also from my wife, so she was looking out for me, so she's
nice.
Also there for me.
Oh, that's awesome. Mandy, what do you have for a coffee mug, coffee story, anything coffee related or mug related?
Well, I have my social distancing expert paying homage to my odd fascination with Sasquatch, to be fair, and Bigfoot and all things related to hunting him, and also a little bit of where Coffee with Karl came from, back to the time we shall not discuss anymore.
Yeah.
But, that's where I'm at this morning.
Thanks, Mandy. It's a good point. I still get, even though we've kind of been out of COVID protocols, and we've obviously had a lot more face-to-face meetings in the last year and a half, I still get a lot of You're taller than I thought you were. So I think that's one thing that people go, I've just seen you in that little box on the screen. So thank you for that reminder, Mandy. Eric, what do you got for us?
I've got my old trusty and faithful Husky watered bottle, coffee mug, whatever you want to have in there. It's been well used. You can see it's starting to peel and fade, but it's got also the lady Starbucks on it as well. So that's always a good go-to.
Nice. I know that Tracy really appreciates you bringing those Husky mugs on.
Absolutely. It's her favorite thing to look forward to, I'm sure.
Okay, Amber, you're up. What do you got for us? I know you don't drink coffee, but what do you got for a mug or a story for us?
Well, my favorite coffee mug is actually a Port of Kennewick mug.
Ah,
So it's nice and heavy. And yes, it's a coffee cup with a tea bag in it. So it will never have coffee. Not that coffee isn't great. In fact, my family is mortified that I do not drink coffee because every one of them do. So, but it is what it is. So, thank you.
that's awesome. And it says established 1915 for Port of Kennewick. I see. That's
It is 1950. It's when third
Right.
oldest in the state.
awesome.
Thanks.
Good deal. Steven, you're up next. What do you got for a mug? Or
Well,
story?
you know, I'm repping for the brand.
Oh, there you go.
Go.
There you go.
Well, they did a great thing. They made them in this beautiful cobalt blue, which is my favorite color. So can't resist.
That is awesome. I have to self-profess that I have one of those myself. I didn't want to, show favoritism or something. I also have a Port of Benton, but now I'm going to have to, kind of spend more time with Amber, see if I can get one of those cool 1915 mugs. Okay, Diane, what do you got for us?
Well, I'm making up for Amber's lack of coffee habit, and I too pack a rockabilly every day. So it's Mother's Day weekend. So shout out to both of my sons, John and Grant, and then also our host daughter, Josephine. But I'm highlighting today the fur baby, which is Nigel, my Frenchie, as well as, love to Duke too.
That was very thoughtful of Nigel to get that mug for you, Diane. Okay, let's get into it. I think everybody's got a presentation, so we're going to have kind of a lightning round here, and then we are going to take an extra half hour today, so we'll wrap up at 10:30 rather than 10. And just for everybody that's watching us, if you're watching on Zoom, you can use the question and answer feature at the bottom. If you do have any questions, we're going to save the questions until the end, so we'll go through everybody's presentations first. If you're watching us on social media, you can put your questions in the comment section, and then we'll do our best to get to everybody. So first presenter is Rohana from City of Kennewick. So take it away, Rohana.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having us. And a special thanks to Tracy for putting me in the starting lineup. I really appreciate that. We can go on to the next slide. So how is Kennewick doing? We've been very busy, a lot of new home construction going on, primarily in our South Ridge area with a lot of new neighborhoods and a lot of multifamily developments going up. We finished up 2022 with over 278 million building permit valuation. Over 2,000 permits were issued last year. Our express permit process is still going really well. And we increase every year on what type of permits can be ran through that process. And then we are fully staffed with our building inspectors, which is great. And we're doing over 50 inspections every day that we're open. All right, next slide. Some things that we are extremely proud of getting completed up this year. The top one is the US 395 and Ridgeline Drive underpass. It is open. I don't know if you haven't taken that trip under 395 yet, but it is great. It connects both sides of the city across 395 up in South Kennewick. If you want to attend, we're having a ribbon cutting on June 1st, 10:30 in the morning. We'd love to see you all out there. Some other things we've been working on is our UGA expansion, the property south of I-82. We should be able to break ground hopefully later this year, but early 2024 is when we're anticipating being able to start up there. We've gone fully online with our permitting process. You are still welcome to bring in your permits if you prefer, but we do have it fully online, partially thanks to COVID and all of that we went through. It really pushed us to get that all up and going. And then recently we also had our ribbon cutting last week for our 18th and Kellogg Water Reservoir and Booster Pump Station project. That's just setting us up for the future. So we focus on 5 areas where there is development happening and there's open land and infill properties. I'm going to skip over a couple of them because I know the Port of Kennewick is going to touch on those, and we are moving fast today through our presentations. Next slide. All right, starting off is downtown Kennewick, one of our favorite places to hang out, and there's a lot of great things happening down there. I'm sure some of you have heard about. The Columbia River Warehouse opened up last year with the public market, which has been great success and an incubator for a lot of small businesses to get into the market. And then we've recently have some that have expanded out to full brick and mortar. Also, Ice Harbor is getting ready to open up their new location. They moved from the railroad location over to the Columbia River Warehouse. So we're really excited for that to happen in the next month or two. We have some other big accomplishments for small businesses. Picante, they had it started out as a food truck and they just opened up their brick and mortar. Whimsy Apothecary, they started out at the market and they moved into their full location just earlier this month. And Red Mountain Kitchen, they are a great small incubator space, and they have pumped out a couple of other awesome new food locations. So they outgrow that space and then they get to open up their own space. So it's really exciting to see that happen. All right, Columbia Center, we're having a lot of action there as well. We have the Columbia Center Boulevard and Quinault Ave project that's going to be starting later on this year. The Hub of Kennewick, they opened up last year, but they are pretty full with food trucks. They have up to 28 food truck spots. They do a full rotation of different events. They have indoor, outdoor seating, live music. It's a really fun place if you're looking for something to do. And everyone gets to choose their own food. There's a lot of different options available there. There's also some redevelopment happening at the Toys R Us location and also in the former Sears spot at the Columbia Center Mall. All right, Southridge, where we're having a large majority of our new home construction. You can see on the left side of this slide, just a couple highlights for some of the new neighborhoods going in. We also have a mixed-use development that is going in just south of the high school that we're pretty excited about, a new model that we don't see a lot in the Tri-Cities. So we're excited to see how that develops. Trios Hospital, they completed their expansion. Southridge High School expanded on their campus. And then if you're traveling north on Highway 395 and you look over to your right, you'll see the multi-story Hildebrand Assisted Living Complex that's going up. It is a pretty large complex. So adding a lot of construction over on that side of town. All right, so over on West Clearwater, there was the 10th Ave and West Clearwater realignment project that went in to prepare for future development that's happening down on that side of town. There is a large multifamily project going in, housing project, also a lot of other single family homes going in on West Clearwater. So that was in preparation to just accommodate all the extra traffic that's going to be going on West Clearwater. Along with the Badger Canyon Apartments, they finished their last and final stage. They had 14 stages that they put those apartments in. Yeah, and then Calvary Chapel, they're doing a large expansion right now as well. And that school has more than doubled their enrollment over the last few years. So there's a lot of more cars on that road currently. All right, so coming up next, we've been hard at work with our consultant on our economic development strategic plan. That should be finishing up here in the next couple of months. Our meter reader project, has been going on for several months now. I think we're about a third of the way done with that project. So getting new automated meters installed to all the residences in Kennewick will greatly increase our efficiency. I'm sure a lot of you have seen, if you've been over in the Costco area, the Gage and Steptoe intersection project that's underway. Hopefully it's not slowing anyone down too much, but we're just looking towards the future and making that intersection safer. It receives a lot of traffic, daily drivers, so we're just improving that for the future. We continue to assist the Port of Kennewick with their Columbia Gardens in the downtown area, along with any Vista Field development that's happening. So they're a great partner that we have. We work together quite a bit on different projects. And then continuing our water and sewer infrastructure developments, our wastewater treatment plants going through a major expansion right now, just to set us up to be able to intake all of that in the future. And that is all we have. There's our contact information if you need to reach out to us. We're always available to help our local businesses and anyone wanting to come to the community. Thank you.
Thanks, Rohanna. That was great. I'm writing my questions down as we go, so we'll get to them afterwards. But great job. Thank you. Up next is Adam Lincoln, the city manager from City of Pasco. Let's take it away, Adam, and we'll start sharing the screen.
All right. Well, thank you very much for this opportunity. Really excited to be here and very excited to have a new position as city manager here in Pasco.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate that. And really an honor to be a part of this panel. There's so much happening in the Tri-Cities right now. This is the place to be for sure. So if we can advance, there we go. So as everyone else is, we're growing too. We're seeing our population going above 80,000, and it seems to be that there's really no end. Our biennial budget's growing as well, and our general fund, and just kind of even our employee base. The city council was generous enough to approve about 100 new positions for this biennium. So a lot of those are public safety, and that's just trying to keep up with the growth that we're seeing. So next slide, please. Just to highlight some of the growth that everyone else is seeing as well. It's expected that we're going to be in just a short few years here cresting over 120,000 population just in Pasco. So really keeping up with, I think as everyone's presentation will touch on in some point, housing is really where it's going to come down to, if we can have houses for all of these employees that we are creating jobs for. So that's the goal here. Next slide, please. Thank you. A big portion to also accommodate that growth is making sure that we have the infrastructure in place. That's our role, is to make sure we're ready for growth and prepared as best we can. So there's a few specific projects on there, but really want to highlight the wastewater reuse facility that we have that feeds our processors, and that's been a partnership with the Port of Pasco for a long time. And thank you to their help and Tridex's help for getting across the line this major project. This really it's technologically advanced. It's something that's environmentally friendly. We're going to be creating renewable natural gas, and there's going to be a process where we're even using algae to treat the water and remove some of the nitrogen out of there. So it's a pretty exciting process. It's going to be over a $120 million project when it's all said and done. But it's thanks to partners that have really made that come together, and Burnham's going to be the operator for that one. Next slide, please. A few other projects worth mentioning. We've been working really closely with the Colville tribe to help with their project that they have coming in over the next several years. That'll be really exciting to see more development in the King City part of town. Also downtown Pasco, which is a very big emphasis for our city council. It's something that we've been trying to do a lot of redevelopment projects with, and one of the major items that we'll get to here in a second is the new Peanuts Park that has been really a focal point for gatherings and different events. The other item on there is our Broadmoor project, which is several hundred acres in the northwest part of town that is a really keystone to both housing and commercial development for the next several years for Pasco. Next slide, please. So here's some of the partnerships that we've been developing over the last couple of years, really. And thank you again to our partners who've really made this happen. Dairy Gold, which I won't steal Stephen's thunder, he'll have a lot more to say about them, but Local Bounty, Reesers, Amazon, Tarragon, apparently you have to be an on to get on the board here, but it's just really cool that that we're seeing these kind of large, well-known companies establishing themselves in the Tri-Cities. So we couldn't be more excited for that. And then downtown, coming late this summer, we're going to be able to walk across our new Lewis Street overpass. I think there's something when you have some of the history that we have in the Tri-Cities, having an underground tunnel that connects our literally other side of the tracks to the downtown. I think it's a big statement by our council to move ahead with a project like this that's, I think, about 40 years in development to actually make it come to fruition. So this overpass is a literal bridge of our community to make sure that we're connecting economic development hubs with our residents in a neighborhood that really needs that connection. And then a little bit more about downtown. I mentioned our Peanuts Plaza. It was an award winner for our local chapter of APWA, the Public Works Association. We just got done with celebrating Cinco de Mayo down there. Another, I think, really successful event. That's the picture there you can see is from a previous Cinco de Mayo. It's nice to have a hub like that so that we can have a focal point for people to come downtown and spend time and be a part of our community. There's also plans to expand the roadway on Lewis Street to keep that expansion, making it more friendly for businesses to have outdoor seating and participate outdoors, which if we're going to have 300 days of sunshine, we want to be out there and be a part of the community. So more to come on downtown. And then recently we were really fortunate to be able to create the first sort of regional law enforcement academy, which is also located in our downtown and has been a partnership with all of our jurisdictions locally. We had a senator from the west side who was really spearheading that effort, Senator Levick, and of course Governor Inslee was also a key to making this successful. So our first class is downtown right now. I'm sure they're running laps and doing push-ups on the sidewalks and just embedding themselves downtown. A little bit more about Broadmoor. It'll be somewhere in between 7 to 10,000, excuse me, more coffee, I'll get there. 7 to 10,000 rooftops. There'll also be a lot of commercial and mixed use as part of this. This is a result of a master planning process that started in about 2006. So it's finally come to fruition that there's a true effort to make it across the line. Council just approved it a couple of weeks ago. If you're out in the area, you can see the roads are already starting to be roughed in. Utilities are next. And then of course we need to do the eastbound off ramp off of 182, which anyone knows that about 4:30 in the afternoon, that backup goes onto the bridge and you're nervously looking in your mirror to make sure someone's not on your bumper. So we're really excited to move forward with that project as well. That's been part of a larger scale work that we've been putting in. If you go to the next slide, please. So it's part of the new tool that the legislature gave us, the tax increment finance. We're, I think, the first city, though the Port of Pasco beat us to being the first overall. So this was the ability to invest dollars and sort of bond for projects to happen before we really have the growth. So the city's committed to doing almost $40 million in projects out there. And we'll be putting in roads, infrastructure, just key items so that we can actually see development really get going. And if you drive out there, there's already houses going up and infrastructure going in to do some of the mixed use and the multifamily developments that are going out there. So it's pretty exciting to see it really coming out of the ground right now. And then, as others are mentioning, the importance of housing projects, I think we can't say enough about the team that we have currently led by Jacob Gonzalez, who's been doing an amazing job of keeping us really on the cutting edge of housing policy. We're really committed to giving developers every resource they can to try and keep up with the development that we're going to see and with the growth in population that we're going to see. In fact, this last legislative session, they passed a House bill to allow for more middle housing is what they're calling it, but basically increased density. And the city that they're going to use as the focal point for how they create their model is based on the changes that Pasco has already made. So we're really excited to be a part of that with at the state level, but also getting recognized nationally for the work we're doing on housing projects. Like I said, it's really about trying to be prepared for the future as best we can. A lot of the infrastructure that we need to put in, connection to community, having meetings like this where we can connect with our peers and really celebrate the successes that we're all seeing. This is we can't just be a single city. We really are committed to being the partners of the Tri-Cities. Housing affordability, behavioral health, they're constantly on our minds just because it's going to take regional approaches to fix those things. And that all ties into our economic development strategies. And the more we're focused together on that long-term goal, the more successful we'll be together. So thank you for the time, Karl. I really appreciate it.
Great job, Adam. That was a really good overview. I've got a ton of questions that we'll get to after we get through everybody's slides. Next up is Mandy Wallner from the city of Richland. Mandy, go ahead and take it away.
Somebody had to do the not unmute. So happy to be that. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to talk about all things going on in Richland. And so hopefully we can answer some of those questions. Next slide. This year, the city is prioritizing and working heavily on a strategic planning process. Some of the main initiatives, I'm sure, are not necessarily a surprise, but the focus areas include public safety, amenities, and events. I think you'll start to see a lot of new signature events coming out of Richland and kind of some new creative ways to do things, which is exciting. Some development opportunities and looking at how we can incentivize and be creative with development, looking at zoning codes and those types of things. Housing density, workforce housing specifically, and job creation in as many areas as we can. Initially, the plan will be a 3-year plan with measurable metrics that will be available to the public as soon as we get done. So we're excited for that. On to some development highlights. We have a bunch of projects, of course, going on in Richland. I started a little bit with housing, talking about, of course, steady housing growth as we've seen across the area. Since April, we've had 277 lots available in the Tri-Cities or in the city of Richland. And so those primarily, of course, are going to be focused in Badger Mountain and in the Horn Rapids residential area. So that's where we're seeing primarily most of our growth and where we'll start working on density in some of the other areas. We have been fortunate enough to be around a median income of $465,000 or for home value. I'm sorry, $465,000 home value. I guess I need coffee too, Adam. And then a lot of new multifamily units. I know as you come into Richland off of George Washington Way, there's been a lot of interest in that development. That'll be 2 new buildings, apartment complexes called Cedar and Sage, and they'll each have about 160 units of apartments. So some nice views of the river and access to downtown. And so we're excited to have them down there as well and kind of fill in some of those last undeveloped areas. Another point of big development for the city is out in the Horn Rapids Industrial Park. We're excited to see Old Trapper Beef Jerky come in. This is going to be the 2nd location for them, and we were more excited to see that the project more than doubled once we finally got permits in and things like that. So we're excited to have that moving forward, and across the street from them will be 4 new smaller commercial lots that are going to be short platted and available soon. We're in the process also of updating the master plan to kind of determine some of that future growth and what the needs will be of some of the housing that's going in and what we need to do to accommodate that growth, as well as our industrial park and the transition from farming to industrialization. We are looking at some of those strategies, as well as a new strategy for the Advanced Clean Energy Park in the North Horn Rapids industrial area, and not to take anything away from, I'm sure, Diane's presentation. So that's some exciting work going on, and recruitment, and new companies coming to town. So that'll be a great opportunity. We also have the Business and Commercial Plaza, which is some of the smaller lots on the 240 frontage that everybody's probably a little more familiar with if you've been out that way. Henderson Loop Phase 2 is nearing the end of construction. The road is in, and those lots are getting prepared to go on the market. They should create about 20 new commercial 1 acre lots with kind of a industrial slant to them. And so had a lot of demand for that and no availability in the last couple of years. So we're excited to have those available. Clubhouse Lane, which is primarily all commercial. We've sold one of those, and we're finishing out kind of that cul-de-sac loop that's there now, and that'll kind of round out that development before we start heading back down the highway and in the future at some point. So as that builds out, we're excited. We do have the corner lot sold, which will be a gas station, coffee shop, some of the other amenities that go along with that, which I think the residents will enjoy and be happy with, at least in the meantime. Next slide. Downtown, we have a bunch of new businesses and exciting things going on. And so I just kind of wanted to highlight a few of those. One of which I'm sure, as you've seen, if you've come down G-Way, the Economy Inn is no longer. And so we have put grass in currently, and have been able to just kind of add that as an amenity to the entry to downtown. And it's just cleaned it up, and it looks really nice. We'll kind of keep it aside for economic development, future use of the city. That's yet to be determined, but we just knew that it shouldn't be what it was. So we've kind of taken care of that. It's been an exciting project, and the neighbors are happy about it. So that's even better. We have welcomed a bunch of new businesses into the downtown area, the Parkway at 650 George Washington Way, the remediation of the Red Robin site, which will be the future Panda Express. A couple of them of note are Kindred Spirits, which is located in the building on the corner of Bradley and George Washington Way. That's a sober bar, which is something different for Tri-Cities, or at least for Richland. Tulip Lifestyle Store, which is at 650 G-Way, and that kind of offers a little bit of everything. So that's been fun. The Teal Box Gift Shop, which if you have a few minutes and you're looking to be entertained, that's a good one to walk through. Unique and Chic Furniture, Antiques, etc., which is actually along Welshon Way. So there's been some kind of reuse going in on some of those commercial buildings. And Sagebrush and Bloom, which isn't necessarily got frontage on Welshon, but it's right behind Cora's e-bikes, and they've got some fun stuff. It's an extension of the Uptown Antique Market, so definitely worth going down and checking out. And then last to highlight there is just that we have 2 cruise ships that we're excited to have back this season into downtown, and they have about 145 dockings scheduled this year, assuming everything goes as planned. And they bring about 15,000 visitors to the Tri-Cities annually. So while they dock in Richland, I know that they take people on tours all throughout the Tri-Cities and wine country. So really it's a benefit to the whole area, and we're just excited to have them there, and hopefully can continue to grow that business. Of course, of important note are some major infrastructure projects that we want to make sure everybody knows about. So we like to get them out there whenever we can. One of which is the one-way couplet that is an alternate kind of a use through the downtown, which will start construction in 2024. This is something new for our area. We don't have any one-way streets in Richland. And so George Washington Way will be the northbound route for Richland. And then at the Torbit and G-Way, it will turn and reroute the southbound traffic over to Jadwin. And so then both of those streets will be wider, have more amenities. They'll have separated bike lanes, some landscape infrastructure, in addition to some additional parking down along the Parkway where we know that we need it. It isn't necessarily rendering all the parking that we know we need, but it's a start. And so we're excited to see that project come together. It'll help move cars more safely and quickly through the downtown. And then it also adds safer, walkable, vibrant density to the downtown. And so we believe that this is a really important project in order to start that densification and bring in residents to downtown and all the things that need to happen for council's vision to be accomplished for vibrant, walkable connectivity between the river and downtown. So that'll be an exciting project to come. It'll take several years, so won't be done overnight, but we're excited to start it. Another major project we're really excited about is the connectivity between Gage Boulevard and Tapteel. And I know businesses like Kohl's and others that are located on Tapteel are excited for that as well. And I think we'll start to see that corridor continue or finish building out as we get this connectivity. And so it will, as the image shows, connect at the roundabout at Gage Boulevard and Center Parkway and extend Center Parkway down to Tapteel. And so that's kind of a project on the horizon that will happen in the next year or so. So we're excited to kind of see that come to fruition and connect all those businesses and homes and getting their shopping done and all of that without necessarily jumping out onto Steptoe or Columbia Center Boulevard. So relieve some of that density. And lastly, I just wanted to give everybody some ways to connect with the city. If you'd like more information, we have e-notifications set up on our website. In addition to, we put out regular business news, openings, ribbon cuttings, those types of things, and then programs available to small businesses for grants, loans, and things of that nature. So connect with the city in any way that you can, and we're always open for questions. So I look forward to chatting with everybody.
Thanks, Mandy. And I just remembered, I should have mentioned it before we kicked off, that the city, is it called Cityscape? The city's kind of video service that you guys put together.
City View.
Videos. City View. There you go. City View. Mandy and the rest of the team from Richland did a really great video on Economic Development Week, which you can access through the website, right? Through the city's website. Is that the best way to see it?
Yep, the website or social media. And I want to thank
Okay.
all of the partners that made that happen. So we were just the convener, but it turned out great.
Yeah.
And we're happy to share it.
That's awesome. Thank you, Mandy. Next up is Eric Mendenhall from City West Richland. This will probably be a short one. Eric, there's nothing going on in West Richland, right?
No, yeah, nothing at all. Yeah, so. No, it's keeping us busy. West Richland apparently is the place to be for everybody right now. So next slide. We are experiencing some differences and changes in the housing market. A couple of years ago, as we all experienced, there was a significant boom in housing. We couldn't get permits out fast enough for the builders. But right now, it's really shifting to more of the missing middle housing and apartment complexes and things, townhouses and things like that. Next slide. So yeah, like I said, we are seeing a lot of that. You can see all the different projects that we're seeing coming in. We've got DR Horton came in and started building some of the townhomes. Ranchland Home is doing a lot of the multifamily that you see off Paradise and Keene and Van Giesen. Next slide. So here's some of the numbers of the past year. We issued 172 new residential permits last year. Our population growth is going up about 1,000 people a year. And as we are planning forward, we've got the Lewis and Clark Ranch sub-area plan. That includes about 750 acres of property that we're master planning right now. And that includes about 3,000 of the 4,200 new residential units that we're planning and are either in permitting phase right now or under site development phase right now. So we've got a lot of residential demand, a lot of residential growth coming. And the Lewis and Clark Ranch sub-area plan does include an area about the size of Queensgate as for commercial. So we're excited for that too. Next slide. In preparation for that and a lot of other things we've got going on, Public Works is working on widening SR 224 Van Giesen from Bombing Range all the way out to Antonori Road. So that'll become a 3-lane road that will include multimodal transportation, complete streets. Right now, it's just a 2-lane rural county highway. It's a state-owned facility. We were able to obtain, a lot of money from the state. We're looking at almost a $32 million project in total. So we're excited for that. What that does is it's going to help all of those property owners along the way that have commercial or residential land not have to do the frontage improvement, which is a significant cost for those developers as they're doing that because it's paid for, it's going to be in. So this year we're looking at putting water and sewer in the ground, so it'll be available and tapped out to all of the properties. And then after that, next year, we'll be looking at widening that road and completing the project and moving that forward. It will also include a trail along one side of the road. So there'll be a lot of opportunities for some good things going on along Van Giesen in the coming years. Next slide. Right now, we are seeing things happening. Bombing range in Paradise, there's 2 projects going on. One that's almost complete. It's going to have an urgent care. We've got Shannon's Grooming, some restaurants and other services that will be in those suites. Across the street from that is another business that's going in. It'll be a three building facility. It'll have a dentist office, a coffee business. It'll also have, I believe, a sushi restaurant and a CrossFit facility, as well as some other office space. So we're excited for that. Here in the Belmont Business District, we are seeing last year the completion of Sun Market and Firehouse Sub. Hapo Credit Union just broke ground earlier this week. They broke ground, and so they're moving dirt right now, building their new facility, a new home here in West Richland. And Dutch Brothers has a purchase and sale agreement signed and inked to start construction, working on a property here in the Belmont Business District as well. So we're excited for all of that that's happening there. Next slide. We do have a lot of other businesses that are coming to town. Benton REA has purchased some land off of Keene and Cooperative Way that are going to move their headquarter facilities here. They're looking at opening in 2024, starting construction probably the first of next year. As I said, Three Rivers Urgent Cares looking at opening here in the next few months. Indianize just finished their construction down on Van Giesen and relocated their facility here. They're a heavy equipment rental facility or place for a lot of work that goes out at the Hanford site. We just received a new daycare facility on Bombing Range across from the sports complex. We'll have more places for the kiddos to be dropped off and taken care of during the day while the parents head off to go earn the paycheck. I've already talked about Hapo and Dutch Brothers. City staff, as well as Karl and a bunch of us, are going to be heading down to ICSC here next week to go and get some more businesses to come to the Tri-Cities. And we're excited for that. That's always a fun adventure, and going down there to bang on people's doors and pound the pavement, so to speak. And then last but not least, earlier this year, the voters passed a bond measure with the Richland School District to design a new high school facility out here in West Richland. So that is going to be located next to the TLAC building. That will be an amazing facility, a much needed facility for the school district. I know that the high schools are bursting at the seams right now, so it'll be good for them to expand and have more presence here in West Richland. So yeah, I guess that's it. We do have a lot going on. Anyone that's interested in locating your business here, I'd be happy to talk to them. We do have, like I said, a lot of different properties in the town that are prepped and ready to go, and we're ready to roll.
That's awesome, Eric. Thank you. That's really good. And obviously I was just joking with there's nothing going on in West Richland. I think it's
I know, yeah, I appreciate it.
All right. Next up is Amber Henchep from Port of Kennewick. Amber, if you're ready, go ahead and take it away.
I am ready. Thank you very much. So yes, we're excited to share a few of the Port of Kennewick projects and give an update. So next slide, please. What some folks don't realize is that the Port of Kennewick jurisdiction extends beyond the city limits of Kennewick. So our jurisdiction actually extends from Findlay in the east, all through Kennewick, South Richland, West Richland, down to Plymouth, and also west to a portion of Benton City. The Kiona piece of Kybee. So we have a very large jurisdiction, and we have many, many partners within that area. And this is just kind of showcasing a few of the partnerships that we've done throughout the last few years. We have supported West Richland's efforts for that housing boom, and Benton County with putting Benton County Fire District number 4 out in the West Richland area to support all of that growth and massive expansion that they're seeing. So we're excited to see all of that come to fruition. Also, City of Kennewick did an expansion of the Washington Street improvements. We're trying to connect the downtown areas better between the waterfront and our downtown. City of Richland did the Island View transformation, which I think turned out amazing, widened the streets, added the bicycling paths and the walking paths, and gave greater access to the Spalding Business Park, which was a Port of Kennewick development as well. And there's some great multifamily that's down in that area now. So working with our partners is a big part of what we do. Next slide, please. So in the interest of time, I was just going to focus on 2 or 3 of the larger projects we're working on right now. Clover Island is owned by the Port of Kennewick, except for the little piece that is the Coast Guard station. And if you've been down to the island over the last couple of years, you'll see that there's a transformation going on the waterfront. So in partnership with the Corps of Engineers, and this of course has been in the works for probably 16 years now, but we now have some shoreline restoration that includes habitat as well. So for the interest of habitat restoration, shoring up the edges so that we don't have that erosion factor. And this also fits into economic development because it is part of the Port's Clover Island Master Plan. This will allow for additional ground leasing on the island for commercial use. And we are looking forward to that aspect as well. So next slide, please. This just gives you a little idea of what it looked like during the construction project, during construction, and then some of the efforts after. Next slide, please. What I really wanted to focus on was today at 2:30, we are having a celebration and ribbon cutting event for this major project down here on the waterfront. So you are all invited to attend. The community is invited to come out, and we would love to have you help us celebrate this major project down on Clover Island. Next slide, please. Also, along the historic downtown Kennewick waterfront, we have the Port of Kennewick's Columbia Gardens Wine and Artisan Village. There are several great amenities down here that we love to promote, and that's the access to the waterfront, the trail system, and also redeveloping this part of Kennewick. Next slide, please. We have parcels for sale, so the private sector can come in, put up a complimentary business. We have wine production, we have tasting rooms, but there are opportunities for food, commercial, and also additional boutique wine production that gives you access to the City of Kennewick's effluent treatment system, which is quite valuable because then those small producers can have a metered rate for their effluent system, their effluent treatment, as opposed to having to come up with a treatment on their own, which can be very costly. So that is a huge benefit to those who would like to build within Columbia Gardens. And I'm happy to talk to you about any of those parcels that we have available for sale. Next slide, please. This is kind of a fun thing that is also economic development related. This will be our second season for summer nights, Saturday summer nights that are coming soon. Here in just 2 or 3 weeks, we'll have our first Saturday night in Columbia Gardens. And this is a free event to the public. It is free to our vendors. It is to help promote micro businesses, whether they're food, craft, different, just kind of different opportunities. It has been so well received that I believe we are sold out at this point, but I encourage everyone to come down. It's to re-engage the public with the waterfront and give us more things to do. So it also kind of ties back to during the day, you could go check out the public market, you could go check out the cool businesses in downtown, and then come do this for a few hours in the evening. And the wineries will all be open during Saturday, these Saturday summer night events. So next slide, please. And then I move on to Vista Field, which is our probably our largest redevelopment project for the Port of Kennewick right now. If anyone is familiar, years ago, it was an airfield, so that we're continuing with the Vista Field theme, but this will be a 103-acre redevelopment project, urban mixed use. And working with our city partners at the City of Kennewick to create the urban mixed use zoning really offers that mix of residential, commercial, neighborhood feel, where we will have this infill project within our community and accessible to our communities. So next slide. Oh, great. Thanks, Tiffany. It is great to see how this phase one, so this will be a multi-phase project for Vista Field, and phase one was really to put our infrastructure in place. If you think about it, an airfield that's been there for many years, our community has grown up around it. So the biggest elements were to put in that infrastructure. So connecting Deschutes to Grand Ridge, we are able to put in the roads, the sidewalks, do linear water feature, have wider sidewalks for promenades, and just getting those pieces in, whether it's water, sewer, power, 3 fiber providers. Took some time. And also from the planning side, we worked very close with our partners on the elements that would be your entitlements, traffic impact studies, the geotech, all those things that builders, when you come into a development, we've taken some of those pieces out for you, and they're already been handled with the master developer, which is the Port of Kennewick. So next slide. In my first phase of Vista Field, we have 21 lots available. And as I mentioned, it's mixed use. We have opportunities for some residential. We have opportunities for retail, commercial. We've got, a Main Street area. And then we've got these Azure Drive, which is cars are welcome. Pedestrians are probably going to be the ones that are more prominent. We'll have on-street parking, common area parking, but here again, it's very exciting. I've got tons of interest. We have businesses of all different shapes and sizes that would like to be in Vista Field. So there's opportunities for builders that would like to be a landlord, maybe your developer that would like to be an investor landlord. I've got businesses that are asking to be tenants in your spaces. We have, when it comes to the residential pieces, there's opportunities for pocket neighborhoods with single family residential, mixed use. There is multifamily, small multifamily, large multifamily. But again, it's this urban feel that we are trying to create here in the heart of our community. Next slide, please. These renderings kind of give you a conceptual idea. It's, it's easy to talk about the vision, but sometimes a rendering helps you see how the engagement with our community from the pedestrian side allows for storefronts. You're spilling out onto these outdoor spaces that we're very much embracing here with, as was mentioned, our 300 days of sunshine. So very excited to see what the private sector is going to do with within these spaces in Vista Field. Next slide. Another perspective of the linear stream, the water features. There are 3 fountains. We have bridges, pedestrian bridges that cross the stream, already have places where there are great, selfie opportunities. We see people walking out there all the time. I've talked to the neighbors, neighboring businesses. They are already enjoying those spaces, and it is open. That street is Crosswind Boulevard is open to traffic and is open for people to go out and stroll through there. Next slide, please. As we're moving forward on this project, the entrances onto chutes, the port will be, we're already in design for some of these enhanced entrance features, signage, landscape, sidewalks. As you're turning into the development, you'll see some of these more amenities that are coming soon. Next slide. This is the concept of repurposing some existing buildings that are out there into pavilion spaces where we could do pop-up events, small little interactions with the community that might be music related, might be performance related. And something that I wanted to draw your attention to in this slide would be the repurposing of some metal aircraft decking that we've had out at Vista Field, because as Vista Field was very important to the World War II efforts, we're trying to maintain some of that historic connection with our community, and would like to repurpose some of this metal decking that was used for training exercises out there during World War II. So it's kind of a fun fact that I'm sharing with the group today. Next slide. So in conclusion, we have an excellent website at vistafield.com. It has a ton of information, but here again, the community can reach out to me with questions directly. As we are getting some beautiful sunshine, I am starting up on the site tours for Vista Field. If there's anyone interested in building, living out there, we can certainly do some site tours with groups or individuals that would like to get more information. So that's all I have for today. Thank you. Appreciate the time.
Thanks, Amber. That was great. And as you're talking about the repurposing those hangars and kind of a event space out there, I was thinking about last year when you guys had kind of the ribbon cutting for Vista Field, and John Waite, right? Like 80s rock star guy was there, which is pretty cool. I thought about John Waite maybe playing that future thing. Just want to give a shout out to John Waite because I know everybody loves John Waite so much.
That's right. That's right. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. Next up is Stephen McFadden from Port of Pasco. Stephen, let's take it away.
Hey, Carl. Thanks again for having us. There's some great projects happening in all of these communities. For the Port of Pasco, we've got a long history of industrial development, food processing support. I like to tell everyone that the port is a transportation hub using air, rail, roads, and water to help move commodities to market. Next slide, please. I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge that we have three great elected port commissioners, with the commission being led by President Vicki Gordon, Vice President Gene Reichman, and Secretary Jim Clinworth. Thank you. Maybe next slide. The Port of Pasco since 1941 has continued to increase its development areas, number of great facilities, including the Tri-Cities Airport. Our newest facilities for industrial development are PIC 395 from 2021 and the Ryman Industrial Center from 2019. One of our great anchors is the Big Pasco Industrial Center, supported also by the Airport Industrial Center, 2 million square feet of warehouse lease space. And I'm happy to report the Airport Industrial Center is 100% occupied, and we're about 97% vacancy rate at Big Pasco. We also have the container barge terminal there and the wharf property a little near the cable bridge that we're looking forward to a future redevelopment project, and then also Osprey Point, which we'll chat about later. How about another slide? One of our big projects was the acquisition of the Ryman Industrial Center in the fall of 2019, 300 acres of undeveloped ground along Railroad Avenue, immediately across the street from the BNSF rail yard. We used a Hanford Economic Investment Fund for a loan for that project, plus port cash to make that acquisition, and had an original plan for development somewhere between 10 and 15 years in length. And as we've heard previously, we've been very fortunate to have a lot of interest in this ground. Next slide. We are 34 months into a very long site selection process and development process with Duragold. We're super thrilled to be able to announce in 2022 and attend a groundbreaking for a 350,000 square foot facility, single largest dairy processing facility in North America in terms of the volume. We were also even luckier with a bonus event in that Duragold is bringing on a third-party cold storage partner that's going to add a 400,000 square foot cold storage facility. So collectively, we're looking at 450 new jobs on site and more than 1,000 direct and indirect jobs for this project on 150 acres of the Ryman. To get there, we had to assemble a huge package of funding to provide the infrastructure necessary to open brand new ground. So city water, sanitary sewer, a brand new port-owned rail spur, connections to natural gas. And it's been a great lift. Next slide. This is my favorite part of the conversation. We have not been able to do this without our partners. And there is a long list of partners that have been involved in this project. Many of them that have been at the table for multiple meetings with the Duragold leadership, from site selection to coming to a decision about how we deliver the utilities for this project. So Tridec, the city of Pasco, Franklin County, Cascade Natural Gas, Franklin Public Utility District, the Washington State Legislature, and the federal governments from Senator Patty Murray, Senator Maria Cantwell, and Congressman Dan Newhouse. We have made a huge lift here to pull this project off. And as Adam mentioned, the port is the first entity in the state of Washington to use the new tax increment financing to bond to cover the gap of about $10 million. Next slide. We have some exciting things happening at the Tri-Cities Airport. Of course, the third busiest passenger traffic airport in the state of Washington. But we have an asset that we've not maximized its value on, and that's 160 acres of ground inside of the airport fence. And we were very fortunate at the end of December to receive a $416,000 industrial site readiness grant from the Washington State Department of Commerce. Very short timeline. We are going to deliver a complex but very detailed engineering master plan by the end of June of this year to the Department of Commerce, which we will use as our platform for future development of this particular project. We're calling it the Aerospace Innovation and Manufacturing Center, or AIM Center. Next slide, please. This is just a conceptual lot layout for the development of those land sites that we showed in the previous slide. We're hoping to bring aerospace research and development, advanced manufacturing, additive manufacturing. The aerospace industry is using a variety of 3D printing tools these days to actually remanufacture parts and components for aircraft, spacecraft, uncrewed aircraft as well. And we also see this as being a supply chain facility to support larger aerospace projects elsewhere. There'll be a wide variety of land sizes available, from small, mid, and large parcels, to support both research and development, manufacturing, and assembly. And you'll see some small airplanes on there. Those are actually representative squares for hangars to serve 737s. We're looking to make sure that we have the ability to support companies that come in that will need to house aircraft, hopefully some new aircraft, some modern day aircraft, alternative fuel aircraft as well. Next slide, please. At the Tri-Cities Airport Business Center, we've been developing this multi-lot area that's designed to serve both aviation and non-aviation businesses. This summer, we're going to construct the last portion of Rickenbacker Road and some brand new taxiway, both of those shown here in red. The Musser family, who has been with us for a long time with their trucks and auto auctions, is currently under construction on 15,000 square feet of commercial property. And we have interest in a number of additional lots, including a letter of intent that's been executed for the next hotel, which will go in right next door to the Courtyard Marriott. great development area and actually growing interest as one business comes, more knock on the door. So hopefully we have more announcements in the coming months. Next slide. Over at Capitol Avenue and Foster Wells, we partnered with Research Fine Foods to help them find a new location and stay in Pasco. They've long been a food processor in our region, and we were successful in that. And they have a brand new 250,000 square foot facility to support 300 jobs. And immediately north of that, the port purchased an additional 54 acres. Next slide. So that additional 54 acres is Pasco Industrial Center 395. We purchased that from the Cox family for $4.4 million. And we've completed a $1 million natural gas line relocation project. Next slide. And the interest in this particular site has been extremely robust, and all of it oriented to distribution and logistics. We have closed on a 12-acre sale to UPS. We're on the cusp of closing on a 17-acre sale to Old Dominion Freight Lines. And just in April, we executed a letter of intent, are currently negotiating a purchase and sale agreement for the last 25 acres with a codename project known as Project Hawk. So it's been a very successful site. One of the prime draws is the immediate access to US 395. Next slide. Osprey Point development is the Port of Pasco's entry into mixed-use, multi-use development that comes with housing. We have been partnered with JMS Construction for a long time on this project. It's a large lift down at the waterfront. It's a beautiful piece of property. It's where the port is headquartered. And we're super excited to see that this project is inching forward, and the negotiations on the master development agreement have been very positive and fruitful in the last few months. Next slide. We believe that in order to keep being successful in economic development, it takes a team and focus on a number of issues. We all talk about workforce, the need for affordable housing. We cannot forget how important the regional power dams are for us in terms of generating affordable hydropower, which is green energy from the very beginning. And we support the city of Pasco in all of its efforts to expand the processed water reuse facility to continue to provide a valuable wastewater treatment facility. And we're seeing a lot of growth in the UGA expansion around residential development, as Adam mentioned. So it's a great time here. But it's really important when things are very, very active and exciting that we remember that these things are all part of economic development. And last slide. And this is just my contact information. We would love to help anybody who's looking to land a project in the Pasco area. And I should note, we're also actively looking to acquire additional ground for our next industrial development project. And that includes looking at North Franklin County and the city of Connell for a future project. Karl, that's all I've got. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Oh, you bet, Stephen. Thank you. That was a great job. I think it's amazing, and just like a case study of what's going on in the Tri-Cities is that you guys keep on buying ground and you keep on selling out of it. So you're a good bellwether for what everybody's experiencing. Okay. So she always likes to go last because she always is our cleanup batter whenever we get together and have these presentations, whether we're talking to a company or talking about our community to, state or federal leaders. Diane Howard's the executive director at Port of Benton. Diane, take it away.
Thank you, Karl. I appreciate the opportunity. I agree with Stephen. It is awesome to hear everyone's updates. I love all the economic development diversity the Tri-Cities brings to bear, and it's working together as a team. So I'm really excited today to share a little bit about the Port of Benton. I understand that I am the caboose here, so I will be quick, and my presentation really is more summary format. But I want to start on this slide with just a quick high-level overview. The Port of Benton drives economic growth, trade, and tourism by providing quality infrastructure, facilities, land, and multimodal transportation for business and the community. Our district covers the 2/3 of Benton County that the Port of Kennewick doesn't for Benton County. So that includes North Richland, Benton City to the north, Prosser all the way down to Patterson, where we meet up with the Port of Kennewick and Plymouth area. and our district represents about 56,000 people. The Port of Benton has 12 development sites ranging from large industrial to value-added ag, recreation and tourism sites like Crow Butte Park and the USS Triton submarine cell. And the port also owns and operates several commercial and industrial properties within our district boundaries. And our multimodal transportation includes a barge facility, a heavy lift terminal, as well as 2 general aviation airports, one in Richland and the other being in Prosser. And then we have a short line railroad that's operated and duly served by both Class 1 railroads, which is a unique advantage for the Tri-Cities region as a logistics hub. So the Port of Benton overall within our district and on our sites is really home to about 122 companies across our 12 development sites. So working with our Port Commission, President Christy Rasmussen, Commissioner Roy Keck, and Commissioner Lori Stevens, we really remain focused on the strategic plan that we put in place and developed in partnership with Benton County, our cities, chambers, Visit Tri-Cities, Prosser Economic Development Association, and TRIDEC. And as a result, I got to share with all of you that 2022 was a historic capital projects for the Port of Benton, and 2023 is looking pretty busy as well. So let's talk about some highlights for 2023 and go to the next slide. First and foremost around rail. The Port of Benton has received back our rail. We actually got full control of it back in August of 2022, and we have been working diligently since that time. Coming up in 23, we've got another about $1 million to work on the SR 240 crossing, which will be coming up in fall of 2023. Thanks to the recent state legislative session and support from Senator Binky, as well as 8th District Representative Connors and Bernard, we got another $1.2 million that will be partnered with the Freight Rail Assistance Program and the Freight Rail Investment, which is a loan program, for about $2.4 million for 3 additional crossings, repair of ties and switches, so that we can get the speeds increased through our community back up to 10 miles an hour through crossings. This helps overall safety for everyone and ensures that we are able to move forward with moving products to market. We've also submitted for some federal grant dollars, and we're waiting to hear back on that. And our ultimate goal is to get the rail back to Class 3, which is a higher level of rail standards, so that we can continue to support the 1.3 million tons of cargo that serves our local value-added agricultural community, ensures that we're getting products domestically served as well as to global markets, and it represents about 700 jobs to the overall region in North Richland. And also we are working with McKinstry on an 80,000 square foot intermodal rail facility that's located off of 2579 Stevens right now. We'll be upgrading this facility, or looking to upgrade it in 2024. We believe this will bring in more business and activity, and North Richland already is an intermodal hub, and we're just going to continue to try to drive that forward and make sure that we're making good, strong safety improvements, rail improvements to ensure that we've got everything moving in positive direction, which is forward and to market. Flipping to our airports, again, both general aviation airports, one in Richland, the other in Prosser. Through the bipartisan infrastructure law, there was $15 billion that was allocated to airports, and the Port of Benton, as a result, received $3.75 million for projects. We'll be focusing in Prosser on $1.5 million of that for runway and taxiway pavement. And the Prosser Airport for us is also home to Checker Cherries, and our annual balloon rally supports about 238 jobs with an economic impact of over 22 million to the region. Richland Airport's going to have 2.25 million in runway, taxiway, and apron work taking place this year, as well as hangar taxi lane construction project. The Richland Airport supports about 682 jobs, total economic impact about 114 million annually. And we too will be working on some corporate hangar locations for smaller planes, nothing like Tri-Cities. We can't bring those in quite yet, and nor do we plan to. But we want to support that overall development that we're all working towards. So we're looking for corporate craft, and really trying to expand the business and on research development as well. And we also have plans in our master plan for a vertiport. So there's some collaboration that can take place between us and Port of Pasco, and they've been a great big brother and partner to us, and we appreciate that collaboration and partnerships. This week, as a result of all of that activity and that collaboration at the Washington Airport Management Association, Richland was named the Airport Project of the Year. So I just have to compliment our team here at the Port of Benton, specifically our engineer, Roger Wright, our entire communications staff and team, which is Summers, Mia, Wally Williams, Rochelle Olson, Brian Condon from Century West, and of course, Quentin Wright, our airport manager. Fantastic job, and we hope that we continue those efforts and strong communications with our community, our pilot community, as we seek to continue to grow both Richland and Prosser airports. And we do have subsequent plans planned for both of those areas in 2028. Next slide. This is a little bit of a different concept than others have spoke about, but the Port Leads and Innovation Cluster, which is known as Washington Vertical. Washington Vertical's purpose is to accelerate the transition to clean, renewable, and non-emitting energy production sources by 2025. And we are really focused first and foremost around advanced nuclear power technologies and advanced reactors. We also work with other areas, energy storage, transportation as well. Again, a lot of strong collaboration here with TRIDEC, and we thank Karl for that. But we are teaming with industry. This is industry-led, academia, our workforce partners and our regional partners, state and congressional office, really to make sure that we're focused on these key priority areas. And I want to focus on those down below. First and foremost, that was to create the Clean Energy Supplier Alliance, and now we're working to secure the project. Next slide, please. We also have a lot of other areas and project teams that have been formed. So these are the areas that we are focused on, primarily all industry-led, but we're working to bring in capital. We're really working to develop and secure this market because the supply chain is new and it does not exist. And we want to also we're working with our workforce partners as well. Everyone's talked about education and workforce development. We are really making sure that our system is very strong, but we want to strengthen it K through 12 through apprenticeships, trades, and PhD, and ensure that we've got that good pathway forward. And then we are also doing education and advocacy. And a lot of that has happened at our state level to begin with. And huge compliments again to the 8th District representatives. They did a fantastic job in partnering with us, and just huge compliments to the discussion that's being had around all the above energy sources needing to be at the table to ensure that we've got a secure, growing community and state of going forward. So in order to make that happen in July of 22 and again March of 23, we hosted a clean energy convening event. This brought together all of our energy leaders and champions. We were really looking for ways that we could explore collaboration opportunities and discuss regional efforts and projects to advance other net zero initiatives. And as we continue to plan for the future, we know Tri-Cities is a place for industry to create, manufacture, and deploy these next generation clean energy technologies for US and global markets. So we have leaned in on this topic and clean energy and advanced manufacturing sector, and recently received a $200,000 evergreen grant from the state of Washington's Department of Commerce. The goal of this is for us to accelerate the development of domestic large-scale near net shape manufacturing by demonstrating the use of powder metallurgy or hot isostatic pressing, so PM-HIP. So this plays into what Stephen mentioned also with Pasco. We see collaboration between us in this space. And we're also working with our partners on some other initiatives, place-based initiatives, tech hubs, again, working with our workforce development pipeline to ensure that our workforce is strong and ready. And again, thank you to everyone that spoke today, because that housing and those retail developments, those are really kind of leans into my final comments, which is, next slide, please. All of this leads into creating an environment that really does support a strong base has a strong base of industrial jobs. That really helps diversify all of our economy, helps fill the stores, helps ensure that we've got strong schools going forward. And we are truly moving from clean up to clean energy and advanced manufacturing. So right now, the Port of Benton is really focused on with companies such as Atlas Agro. They are now working through their feasibility period. They are a fertilizer company that's going to be capturing nitrogen from the air to produce fertilizer. The clients that we are working with, combined with our partners, the City of Richland and Tridec, in this space, combined economic impact right now is estimated about $1.8 billion and 460 clean energy careers for our state. So we're really excited about these prospects, as well as our work in value-added ag with other key destinations like Vintners Village, where we have wineries that are holding events. Stay tuned to that information by going to vintnersvillage.com, and so you can see what's happening every weekend. We also have a port development building there, and really want to highlight Sister to Sister on the Ave, Wautoma and Domenico Cellars. They started up during COVID successfully, and we just really appreciate them being in our development building. We also have parcels for sale in Vintners Village. And we're working with our owners and our community there on tour experiences that will want to be featured by the cruise lines that come into Richland right now. And in addition to that, we also have the CLOR Center in Prosser. The CLOR Center in Prosser supports ongoing agricultural education across the board, from hops to tree fruits to wine, and working with industry. We are working on CLOR 2.0. So we're hitting a reset button with our industry partners and with WSU, and there's going to be more to come on that. And we're also, again, collaborating with the Port of Pasco on their visions for Ag Center as well. Last week, we celebrated Pepper Preppers in Benton City, which was wonderful to see that redevelopment occur. And it's really an exciting time in our community. We appreciate all of our economic development partners. It is very, it's very humbling to be with this group today. I just really appreciate the time, Karl, and I turn it back over to you. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. That was a great summary and great recap for everybody else. You know, I think just my initial thought is there's so much going on here, and you know, as we kind of knew was going to be the case, just going through what's going on has taken up most of an hour and a half, which is incredible. But I really appreciate everybody joining us today. And I think, Diane, you talked about it, Stephen talked about it, and we've all talked about it to some degree. I think by having everybody present together, you can really see that we do all work together. We all are partners. You know, somebody said it before, and I can't even remember who said it, but you know, you think about the Tri-Cities, and I think I'm still going to call myself a new guy until somebody says you're not the new guy. But you know, you come into the Tri-Cities and everybody's like, oh, why can't we have just one city? But I think that this is a great example of, like, it doesn't matter if we have like one political entity or not. We are all working together and partnering, and I think that's what it's really about. You know, when we talk to new companies that are coming in, whether it's on the industrial side, the retail side, our job is to work together and give everybody a chance to compete on their specific sites. And that's good. That's good for our community. It's good for everybody to do that. So we're going to, I know there's some questions from Facebook. As I read through those, we'll get to those in future episodes. I know that we've got some stuff planned around workforce and some of the topics that we talked about, whether it's workforce housing. But let's go into final comments right now. And I know, Stephen, you got a hard stop at 10:30, so why don't you kick us off with any final thoughts from Port of Pasco?
I just want to say that my 2.5 years here in the Tri-Cities has been a whirlwind, but it's been a fabulous experience. And again, for me, it's driven by the partnerships. We would not win projects, we would not build things if we didn't have the relationships that we have, whether that's Adam Lincoln at the City of Pasco or Scott Reeves at Franklin PUD. I mean, we just have this great synergy, and I can't thank all of those players enough. Thank you for the time.
You bet. Well said, Stephen. Thank you. Rahana, how about you from City of Kennewick? Do you have any closing remarks for us?
I'm going to agree with everyone else. We do have a great partnership with everyone on the line right now, along with the Port of Kennewick and Historic Downtown Kennewick Partnership. We're very fortunate. I think I don't realize it because the city of Kennewick is my one and only government job, but people that come and visit us from the outside are very shocked at how well we all work together and the relationships we have across city lines. If I don't know something, I know who I can call at the other cities that can help me out. And I'm just really appreciative of that. And I think it's a great testament to our community.
Thank you, Rana. That's really appreciate your time this morning and joining us. First time coffee with Karl, Adam Lincoln. Again, congratulations on the new job. It's great to have you on. We appreciate you joining us this morning. But any closing remarks from City of Pasco, which I think is the fastest growing municipality in the state of Washington? Is that correct?
I'll take it. I
Okay.
I think we're up there, but again, I think regionally we all have so much to offer that it's who can get the houses out of the ground faster than a potato can grow around here. So I just really appreciate the opportunity, and Karl, thank you to you and your team for organizing this, because we really need TriDeck to help be that glue for us as well. So thank you for the time.
Thank you, Adam, and we will have you on again. Look forward to further discussions for sure. Mandy, City of Richland, any closing remarks from your perspective?
I would like to just echo what everybody said about thanking TriDeck for getting us all together. I think we all get super busy, and it's nice to get together and kind of reflect on how we all have such great, strong relationships, how we work together, all the great projects that we've all worked on and even collaborated on. And I just really appreciate being a part of this great community and the economic development field locally. So thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Mandy. And I know we weren't going to do any questions, but I do have to give a shout out to Old Trapper, because that's one ribbon cutting I'm really looking forward to, and get some free samples. So in the future, we'll all be getting some jerky, right? Okay, Eric Mendenhall, City of West Richland. And I got to give a shout out to Eric, because we are going to this International Retail and Trade Show in just a little bit over a week, and Eric is actually going to carry all of our stuff down there in his pickup, so we don't have to carry it on the plane. So Eric, thank you very much for that. Really appreciate the partnership. But any closing remarks from City of West Richland?
Yeah, you bet, Karl. I'll be happy to haul all your stuff anywhere you need me to. No, as far as closing remarks, I sound like a broken record, but the partnerships is what makes us unique, I think, and the ability to come together to make things happen as a group is pretty amazing. We get together, I don't know if anyone knows this, but we actually get together at least once a month as an economic development group and talk about projects that are coming in, how we can work together to make sure that those projects come here rather than going out of state or to the west side. So we are definitely working for the betterment of the community and not just for the cities that we represent or the ports that we represent. So awesome job, everybody. I just love this group, and being able to be part of it is a privilege and honor.
Thanks, Eric. Great job. Amber, also first time on Coffee with Karl. What did you think? And any closing remarks from Port of Kennewick?
Yes, thank you. Thank you for having me today. And I think this is an amazing format, because it really gives the community, people in our community and outside of our community, an opportunity to see all the great things that are going on in the Tri-Cities. My heart is in the Tri-Cities. Been here many, many, many decades. So I'm thrilled that I learned something new today on all of these presentations. So we are a dynamic community, and thank you for putting this together, Karl and Tracy and Tiffany. We really appreciate it.
Thanks, Amber. And I do want to point out, and we'll all be down there at 2:30, right? It's ribbon cutting for the enhancements at the shoreline enhancements at Clover Island. So we'll look forward to that.
That's right, 2:30. Thank you. See you guys then.
Okay, see you down there. And again, she's going to close us out on the closing remarks too. But Diane, closing remarks from Port of Benton. And I do have to say, you're definitely going to have to be back on, because you didn't even get a chance to show your video on the clean energy park. So
Thank you, Karl. And again, thank you, everybody. I do appreciate the conversation. I just think this is a great way to engage with the community. Please know that we want your input. We want your feedback. We truly value that. We're going to have more planning pieces coming forward as the Port of Benton. So we're really wanting to engage with all of you. But to Karl's point, we do have a vision out there. We do believe this is the place, and I believe it with all my heart, being born and raised here. And we have that video available for you to take a look at washingtonvertical.com. And again, for all your real estate needs in North Richland, Benton City, and Prosser, please reach out to the Port of Benton. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. And for the first time ever, we're stopping actually exactly on time. So thanks everybody for your time today. Celebrate International Economic Development Week, which I think this is a great way to show what we're all doing together. Tri-Cities is an amazing place. I'm like I said, I'm still the new guy, but somebody said it before. Now is the time to be in the Tri-Cities, and we are the place for all of these type of developments. And so we will come back with some of these issues that we know we're facing, such as workforce housing, workforce in general, and some other factors on that. I think those are really good discussions. But thanks everybody for your time today, and everybody have a great Mother's Day weekend. Thank you.